Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be discussing with you a dirty little secret about my vinyl collection. And I don't think everybody will be able to relate to this, but I think as your record collection grows, you may find yourself in the situation that I'm in, and I'm just wanting to talk about it a little bit. I'm not proud of this, but it happens. I'm going to be bringing some records to light, and let me just explain how this came about and how I discovered this little problem in my collection. Okay, so a lot of you are now receiving the UHQR from Analog Productions of Steely Dan's Pretzel Logic, and I've been seeing a little bit of talk about it here and there, and so I decided, I need to pull out my copy of Pretzel Logic because I knew I had one. And as I was going to pull it out, I started thinking, when's the last time I had pulled this record out to listen to it? Never. I'd never pulled it out. And I got this back when I started really getting into vinyl records in 2017, when I went hog wild, when it all started big time for me. Yes, I got it. I cleaned it. I played it a couple of times when I got it, and I put it away, and I've never pulled it out since. Isn't that insane? I'm not proud of this. I'm just saying I'm not proud of this. But I've gotten to a point where in my collection, I now have so many records that I can't play them all. And there are a handful of records, maybe a little more, that have totally fallen by the wayside like this one had. And I have a great copy of it. It is on the black ABC label. And it sounds beautiful. I did rectify it and play it out of shame and curiosity of how it sounded. I assumed I probably didn't need a UHQR of it, but I did want to, out of curiosity, see how my copy and how it sounded. So that was quite a discovery, and it kind of made me take another look at my collection. What other records have I not been playing that are just sitting there that are good records? Here's another one. Queensryche, Mind Crime. This came out in June of 2021. I was very excited to get it because it was a 2 LP set. Everybody said it was going to sound better. It sounds good. But I played it, enjoyed it in that month of June, put it away, and I haven't revisited it. And what a shame. Operation Mindcrime, that's one of the best concept albums, one of the best rock operas, an amazing record. And it just totally fell by the wayside. So I'm going to have to rectify that as well and put it in rotation and start playing it. It's tough to see these records, and we know how much records cost now. Thankfully, the Steely Down record wasn't expensive at all. That was back when it was probably a $4 record. But Operation Mindcrime is a new release. Think about the money that I paid for that just for it to sit for 2 years. Here's another one I bought a couple of years ago. And what I love about this band is they've been around forever. They are a solid band, and they never change. Their music always sounds like them. They don't try to follow trends. Pitbull has never made an appearance on their video or on their records. No offense to Pitbull or Pitbull fans, but they just straight up rock and roll. Cheap Trick. This record came out a couple of summers ago. In Another World, here comes the summer looks good on you. It was a really good, solid record from Cheap Trick. I also had the CD that was gifted to me by Told Hall Books and Records. Thank you, Nick. That was very kind of you. And it did get a lot of play in my car, because my car I had at the time had a CD player. It's on a really beautiful blue vinyl. And I played it on CD more than I played my vinyl copy. So I need to change that and play that as well. It's just a beautiful record that's been sitting around for a couple of years. You know, it just seems like to me when I'm wanting to listen to Cheap Trick, it's usually Dream Police, Live at Budokan, Heaven Tonight. There's a lot of great Cheap Trick records. This next one is Paul McCartney, and this isn't the only Paul McCartney record that I'm going to be showing. Okay, so I bought this sealed. Paul McCartney, Tripping the Live Fantastic. And it's the highlights, not the full version of it. It was sealed. I opened it, played it a couple of times, put it away. This was early on when I was collecting too. So this was probably around 2018, 2019. To be honest, I don't have a good excuse for any of this other than when I want to listen to Paul McCartney live. I tend to like the live Amoeba concert. I like Wings, the 3 LP set, Wings Over America. So that one just kind of fell by the wayside. Here is another record. I will get to Paul McCartney, and I even have a Beatles record in this stack too. And I will get to those in just a minute. But first, this record is one that when I think about just taking some records out of my collection, this is one that comes to mind, and then when I go to pull it, I just can't do it. It's a solid record, and I keep thinking in the mood, and I'm going to be in the mood for it at some point because it's a solid, popular record. Nazareth, Hair of the Dog. This came out in 1975. I probably bought it back in 2018. Didn't pay a lot of money for it. In 2017, 2018, where I was buying records, things were still really cheap. And this is a really nice copy of this record. It's been a long time since I've needed to drown my sorrows in a song like Love Hurts. I love the song Hair of a Dog. It's really good, Hair of the Dog. You know, it's just one of those things. When you get a lot of records into your collection, you don't always get to play them as often as you should. That's one of the negatives. There's a lot of positives to having a big collection. There are some negatives, and this is definitely one of them. This record, it holds one of my favorite vinyl buying memories because this is something that I wanted very early on. I was looking for, and it was a tough one to find. And it was a magical moment when I was in Florida and I was flipping through records. I don't remember what store I was in, but I'll never forget the feeling. Flip, flip, flip. There this record was. And I was like, oh, yay. And you know, you do that little prayer when you're opening it and looking at to inspect the record. You want it to be in great shape so you can buy it. This one was amazing. It is Winger. It's such a good record. And it was still in shrink, perfect vinyl. Evidently the owner before me never played it either. I definitely got it home and played it and was thrilled to have it. Songs like 17, Headed for a Heartbreak was my personal favorite on here, but I like Hungry and Purple Haze is very good. So, you know, I don't know what happened. I played it and was so excited. I'll never forget, I also got the Madonna, the Immaculate Collection, the original version of that. At the same time, I found this Winger album on that Led Zeppelin-y looking label. I always think of Led Zeppelin when I see that. But it's one that definitely needs to go back in rotation. This next record, I know why I don't pull this record. I actually have a pretty good excuse. It's Fine Young Cannibals, The Raw and the Cooked. This came out in the really late 80s, I think like probably 1989, I'm guessing, 88, somewhere around that line. And I don't love that time period of my life. I had this cassette. I was working 2 jobs. I was going to college. I didn't have any free time. I was exhausted all the time. So this one was one of those I listened to in the car all the time, going back and forth to work, back and forth to college, a lot, you know. So yeah, I guess it just doesn't have a lot of great memories for me. Now, I do love the song She Drives Me Crazy. That was the biggest hit off of there, and I remember listening to Good Thing. I don't think that one has aged well for me. It kind of gets on my nerves at this point. But I remember liking the song I'm Not the Man I Used to Be, and I'm Not Satisfied was also another really great song from this album. I don't like the time period it came out in, and that's what it suffers from. Not great memories for me, just a lot of hard work. This next one is the Beatles. Past Masters, Volume 1 and 2. I have a lot of Beatles records, and they all get a lot of play, but I don't tend to grab this. It's a cool one to have. This one is on the purple Capitol label. It's 2 LPs. It's in beautiful condition, and it just sits in my collection. And I don't have any plans on getting rid of any of these records. I bring them to your attention because I know I need to listen to them, and I want to keep them in the collection. Other records that I didn't listen to and I knew weren't going to get listened to, I have given away to other people who would enjoy them. The Past Masters, this is the stereo version. I even have a mono version that came in that Beatles mono box set, and it's still sealed. I haven't even played that one, so I probably need to give this a listen really soon. This is a wonderful band it's a British progressive rock band, and I really enjoy them. This is just an oversight on my part to not listen to this. I probably bought this record a couple of years ago. The Beatles' Past Masters, I probably bought that 3 or 4 years ago. This one, probably a couple of years ago, and I listened to it a lot when I first got it. I really love it. It's not my favorite Jade Warrior album. This one is called Last Autumn's Dream, but it is very, very good. It is on that Vertigo Swirl label, so I'm looking forward to giving that one a listen really soon. It's just, overlooked, unfortunately. These next 2 records are ones that most people would probably want in their collection. They're great compilations to have. It's Journey's Greatest Hits. Of course, I probably had that. I had the CD of it. My sister gave it to me many, many years ago, and I wore it out. And I think, if anything, this one doesn't get a lot of play because it suffers from fatigue. I like listening to full Journey albums where there's deep cuts because I know they're hits so well. But this one is definitely a great one. Still have a price sticker on it. I don't know. That seems really high to me if I paid that. Wow. But here's Greatest Hits 2. This one is more of my liking, and yet I haven't played it in a very, very long time. I love it. Is more of a deep cuts. The Volume 1 was their biggest hits. And Volume 2 has deep cuts as well as their minor hits like Stone in Love and After the Fall. It also has the song from Trial by Fire, an album that I don't believe has ever gotten a reissue. I don't think it was on vinyl here in the United States, and if it was very, very limited number. I think you can buy that album maybe on vinyl in other countries. I'm not really sure. But I like the song When I Think of You from Trial by Fire. It doesn't have When You Love a Woman for some reason on here. But Suzanne is another one. I just got some Still They Ride. I really like that too. So it's nice to have these Volume 1 and 2 of Journey. When you do want to hear the hits, I guess I haven't been wanting to hear the hits in a while, huh? Because I haven't been playing the records. So, wow. This next one is probably the biggest shame I have in my collection. This is crazy. I guess it's probably been a year, 2 years ago. I'm thinking I don't even know. But Target had a sale, and I bought some records because they were so heavily discounted, so cheap. And I bought this record, and I put it in its vinyl storage solution sleeve, and I never opened it, and I've never played it. It is Tears for Fears, The Tipping Point. As you can see, it was the Target exclusive. It's probably on a colored vinyl. I've never opened it up. Shame on me. So many of you have been talking about loving this record. I'm sorry about the glare, you guys. I'm getting a crazy glare. So many of you have talked about how wonderful this record is, and I've missed the boat. This one, kind of like Fine Young Cannibals, just doesn't bring back warm, fuzzy memories, and I think you all will understand why. It is Paul McCartney. This is McCartney 3. It reminds me of that time when we were all forced to stay home and couldn't go to restaurants and couldn't live our normal lives. And this came out due to that. Paul McCartney staying home, deciding to make an album, which I think was a wonderful way to spend his time. He's creative. And I think the music on this is really good. His lyrics, his vocal abilities are challenged, but it's still Paul McCartney. It's still a good album. Of course, it's just not one that I think of when I'm in the mood to hear Paul McCartney, because there's so many great albums. And this one fell by the wayside. And I just kind of think about that yucky period of time that we just got out of, think 2020, 2021 era. And that's just something I personally want to leave behind. And those are the records that I haven't been listening to, that were kind of hidden away, kind of forgotten. Let me know if there's any records, if you suffer from this. Are there any records in your collection that you didn't mean to neglect, but you have? Is this an issue for you? Do you purposely keep your record collection small so this doesn't happen to you? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.